Good morning and welcome back to another video, and today we are going to be going over 5 expensive pets that you can farm right now. Now just stick around and enjoy the video. Now coming in at number 1 is the captured firefly. Now this one can actually be farmed up within Zanga Marsh, and basically all you have to do is kill the fireflies that are all around the area. Now if you follow the route on the screen right now, you won't pretty much run out of fireflies, and all you have to do is basically just keep massacring them, just running around killing them. Now the captured firefly on the other hand actually has a fairly low drop chance, so sometimes you may want to put in a couple of hours when you're actually farming this up, because the time invested will obviously give you the return, but it may take you a little bit longer than just an hour, because with like most battle pack farms, some of these ones are at a low % drop chance and therefore will actually take some time in order to get a hold of. So that being the case, the things of note for this one is make sure that you're in a class that can actually move around pretty freely, so recommended Demon Hunter or Druid. And also the other thing of note is you can actually keep track of how many you're actually going to be killing if you use the add-on rarity when you're actually farming this up. This will be greatly helpful for when you're actually farming this actual particular battle pet, as it will keep track of how many attempts you've actually got to and how many kills you've actually got to before you have actually got it, so you can see how long it's actually going to roughly take you. I find this add-on to be really helpful when you're actually farming up pretty much any of these battle pets on the list, but I wanted to throw it in there now for the captured firefly, as this is number 1. Now that being the case, the captured firefly actually does tend to sell for a decent amount of gold overall on most servers, so I would recommend actually trying to farm this up. The only thing I would recommend is if you want to have insanely steady gold, I would go do gathering instead of pet farming. The thing for pet farming is you may or may not get these pets, some of these pets on this list, so I would recommend just holding off right there if you don't have the time to waste. So that being the case, guys, let's move into number 2, which is the FILTHLING farm. Now this one's been a staple farm because the battle pet has been relatively good in the way of selling for gold. Now that being the case, the FILTHLING farm has been located on the Isle of Thunder. All you have to do is go over to this spot right over here on the actual screen right now and basically just massacre all of these quivering filth. Now that's basically what you're doing. Take an AoE class like a mage. Arcane mage actually tends to be quite good. Druid's very good. You can make up a spam macro that just kills and clears targets, or you can go in as a feral and just use your swipe ability. I tend to use that. And also you could also use a load of other things, such as like a warrior with whirlwind and all that jazz. So there are multiple ways to create AoE, because these are so low level, you're just basically going to one-shot them regardless. So it doesn't really matter all that much. Now, the amount of these actual battle pets that you can actually get per hour varies quite considerably. Now, some people have reported to get around about 8 in an hour, and in my experience, I've only ever really gotten about 5 at most, and that was at a very lucky attempt. Now, other people have actually reported that they've only gotten about 4. Let's just go with the bottom line one of you're going to get about 4 an hour if you are able to keep up your AoE. Now, if you do get lucky and get multiple drops of this, that's awesome. But aside from that, this one can fluctuate on the figures quite a lot because of the drop chance, so to speak, because it's an open world farm and you can just kill them endlessly. So take this one's drop chance as a grain of salt when you're actually doing this particular farm. Now that being the case, in the realms of actually selling this pet, it sells moderately fast. Don't know why, but it actually tends to sell rather well. And the FILTHLING farm has been around ever since pop, and it actually sells relatively well in the grand scheme of things. That being the case, guys, let's run over to number 3, which is in Mr. Pandaria even still, and this one is pretty much the laziest one that you can do. This one is fishing. The gold per hour for this is pretty crap, but you can still get them relatively well. So what you'll be actually fishing for is the tiny carp. Now, I know what you're saying. Tiny carp, low drop chance. Yes, they're a battle pet, they're going to be a low drop chance, but The thing of note for the tiny carp is they actually fluctuate on their prices quite considerably. When it comes towards like Mr. Pandaria pets, they tend to sell a little bit more. I really don't know why. But tiny carp actually averages for anywhere from around about like 30,000 gold all the way up to like 70,000 gold. And that's pretty damn awesome for the time that you're investing fishing consistently. Now, much like the captured firefly at the beginning of this video, this one's going to require a bit more than just an hour of farming. You're going to be wanting to farm a little bit more than just an hour. If you get lucky in your first hour, just quit while you're ahead and just sell that on the auction house. But overall, it's basically fish until you've got it. So from that, that's like one of the most easiest ways of order to get a high value battle pet is just by fishing in pretty much any of the areas. I tend to fish in the Vale of Eternal Blossoms. That's where I've found to get my tiny carp majority of the time. So if you want to use that area, just pick a spot in the Vale of Eternal Blossoms. Now, that being the case, let's move on to number 4, which is the Lanticore Spawnling. Now this one actually comes from the Upper Blackrock Spire, which is located within the Blackrock Mountain, of course. Now all you have to do is basically run into the instance, make a macro that goes /tar Lanticore, and see if the rare elite is up. Now you can do this once per day as it is a heroic dungeon, and what you're going to actually be wanting to do is by checking to see if it's up every single day. Once that rare has actually spawned for you within the dungeon, kill it. It's about 100% drop chance for that spawnling. And the Lanticore goes from anywhere from like 20,000 gold at its bare minimum and all the way up to like 100,000 gold on some particular servers. So it's something that you may want to double check your auction houses with, and I will go as far as pretty much just check every single battle pet before you farm it and see what the prices are for you overall, because they do tend to fluctuate on different servers a bit more rapidly than most materials and all that stuff. So it's something that you may want to bear in mind. Now, the other thing of note for this actual one is I find this one to be really easy to actually do if you are using an alt army, because obviously you have a once per day lockout. So it would be running in, seeing if you get it, running in, seeing if you get it, and overall just making sure that you repeat that over and over again. The more attempts that you can get in per day, the better. So overall, just make an alt army, or if you have an alt army already, just stick them there and see if you can actually try your luck at getting a hold of the Lanticore Spawnling. Now, aside from that, let's move into number 5. And this one is a battle pet that I have not actually really covered at all. And this is called Moon. Now, Moon actually comes from the Dark Moon Fair. So when the Dark Moon Fair is actually up every month, the boss that you'll be wanting to kill is Moonfang. He has a chance of dropping a battle pet called Moon, which can actually sell on the auction house from anywhere from around about like 15,000 gold that I've seen at the lowest, and all the way up to like 70,000 gold on some other realms. It's actually pretty damn good. Now overall, with the Dark Moon Fair Moonfang, it's at roughly around about a 5% drop chance. Now this can actually be done relatively easily, and all you have to do is basically just kill the boss. Now, if you are able to actually defeat Moonfang even with like a low level character, you still have that same drop chance for that actual pet. So if you did it with like a level 60, you're still going to be able to get a hold of it, much as the same as if you were doing it on a 120. So that's something you may want to bear in mind right there. The other things of note for this actual farm is basically use an alt army, same as with the Lanticore Spawnling, and just making sure that you can just do it as many times as you possibly can in order to try and get a hold of this battle pet. And basically all you have to do, 5% drop chance, that's pretty damn high in the grand scheme of things of like battle pet farming for a high value battle pet. So the more attempts that you can get in, the higher chance you're going to actually be able to get a hold of it. So that being the case, guys, that is pretty much all I have to say for the 5 best expensive pets that you can farm right now. Have an awesome rest of the day, and I shall see you in the next video, which will be tomorrow.